What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday night quantum slash gravity study session. Today is Sunday, August the 16th. It's going a little bit over of these reads. I did take a 6 o'clock opening long and short, actually. Got a little bit of both. I took that little rejection down to test this 160 area. Didn't get all the way to 160, hit 170, and then I flipped it and caught a little push from that 170. But I'm going to go a little bit over how I use these gravity zones. This thing's pushing. Gravity zones are repel zones. We just had a repel zone play out. There was a nice repel zone short that just got erased, right? We just broke through it here. Golden MVG, a lot of confluences here for this play. It's just ATR tonight is very low, so the plays take forever, okay? When the ATR is low, I'm an impatient person. I will not hide that. I will not say, yeah, I'm catching all these trades when like the candles are moving 2 to 3 points at a time. I'm not that patient. I'm not going to sit there and stare at my chart for that long for one trade and one move. I'm going to sit it out. So I caught 2 trades at the open. That's literally it. Haven't touched my account since. This is playing out really well right now. We have gravity. We have a gravity breakout. We have a failed bullish move. 2 of them actually over here, right? But this did pull down. We had this level at 191 hold. Then we had a secondary failed bearish move over here. Right, re-breaking out of a gravity zone, plus a blue, plus the repel zone, right? All this for a nice confluence for a long. If anybody was brave enough to take this on this choppy low ATR, we just actually even had a little 2-minute break, not a full-blown retest. Right over here, that purple candle, we've gone over these setups over and over again. Right, break, no full-blown retest at all, so might have not given me a good entry, but the risk on this is still pretty low. So even taking that into account, let's see how far up it's gone. It hasn't given you your 10 points just yet, right? If you're me, right, I'm going to go for 10 points first. It just edged me if I got in on that here pullback here. Right, would have just edged me. I always try to wait for the tap of the levels. Doesn't always give it to you, but when the risk is low, I may enter a little sooner and do my strategic DCA, but I always leave my stop loss in play. Let's see if it gets up there to the 10 points. Like realistically, let's say realistically you got in here, your 10 points will be at 220. That would be your 10 points. On this setup here, this gravity zone breakout, the gravity zone slash repel zone breakout, right? You could have taken that breakout here, right? The initial break, use the box as your stop loss. You could have even taken that wick right here. There's multiple ways to play this, or the break and retest if it presented, right? And you can use the breaking candle as your stop loss, the center box as your stop loss. That would have gotten you your TP already on this play alone. We did have a repel zone on top, which makes it risky, okay? So you have to be cautious when you have 2 repel zones close to each other because they will fight it out, right? You have to have one give way. The one that was above here did break, and then you got that little continuation. So a few setups here to look at for confluences for the long. There's your 10 points on this 2-minute play, and then some, right? You can see how there's multiple entry points, multiple setups, but every single one has a nice risk. You know where the stop loss, you should always know where your stop loss should be. Okay, risk on this one also, right? This 5-minute, let's look at this 5-minute. This 5-minute level break over here. This 5-minute purple, it did by the tip, right? This 5-minute purple here was broken by the tip of that candle. So did make that trade still risky. We still had a lot of things lining up for this continuation push up. Right, tip break, again, same idea. Stop loss is below the breaking candle, right? This is your breaking candle. This is kind of your retest zone, right? And then your risk is always the same on every single time frame. Your breaking candle is your risk point. Your entry is around the retest area, and you're looking for whatever to be obviously 1-to-1. But I'd never go for less than 10 points. So 10 points would be my first TP, and then I would let the runners run. That's how I do this on repeat over and over and over again. Okay. Every time frame has different risks involved, different entry points based on the retest. Right. Some give good retests, like the 5-minute. If it was a tip break, dangerous. Some do not. Sometimes it just goes, and that's okay. If I don't catch a clear entry point, I don't take the trade. It's that simple. And my mic is under the table. Thank you, Dan. All right. So what's up? Okay. So hopefully you guys are still able to hear me a little bit. I hope that now I effed up the recording. My wife's going to be so pissed at me. Oh my God, this thing is taking off. We're going to get up to these levels up here and test these at the rate this is going. We're about to get another 5-minute cross as well. Very bullish. All right. You joined in late. Does Quantum work on TradeC? No, Xtrucker. Right now, only wealth charts and TradingView. I know that we're trying to work with others. I just don't know the details because that's like that's the smarty pants stuff that Owen deals with. But I just don't know. I don't know anything, so don't take that as anything. Take it with a grain of salt, because I really don't know the if we're trying to expand to other charting platforms. I know we've spoken about it. What's up, Ty Lord? Funded Seat has wealth charts, not TradingView. Yeah, they have wealth charts. I'm one of those guys. I thought they did have Trade-Ovate, right? They have Trade-Ovate, but Xtrucker, right? I think they have Trade-Ovate, don't they? Funded Seat. Do they? I think they do. I can't remember. Okay, they don't, but they're on wealth charts. I believe they're on wealth charts, so you can still use our stuff on wealth charts. The gravity should be on wealth charts sometime. I don't know the ETA exactly, but it should be. I mean, the long played out beautifully. It's just, again, right? This is a super low ATR. I did not take this trade. I would be transparent with everybody because the ATR was way too low. I'm way too impatient. Way too impatient. Okay. So the next major area, again, right? We got barriers. So I was actually going to explain this earlier. All right. So I was looking for a test of this box on Friday. It came really freaking close and never made it up there. I was ready to short this thing up here and never made it up there. I missed it. I took a couple of regular quantum plays. All right, let's get rid of the quantum lines for now. Make it a little clean, right? I took this short down here, right? For anybody that is new to quantum, right? The main thing I teach for everyone to learn, the easiest setups with quantum are the quantum candle breaks and retests. These are the easiest setups to master first outside of the signals, right? The signals, you have to be careful. The signals will get very choppy when there is chopping. Fights back and forth. Sometimes they give little moves, big moves. Sometimes they don't. We avoid impulse candles, right? If you see a big impulse candle, right? Look at the size of these two. Again, this did play out, but the cross happened in front, so not an A++. Be careful with these. You're going to have a lot of retests, right? Impulse candle came in, that wick pulled up, right? I know some people that like to play the attempted rejections on these, so they'll get in on the retests, right? And they'll put their stop above the candle and they'll take these trades. I personally don't, especially if we're fighting against a trend. We were in a pretty kind of steep uptrend at this point. So I was kind of very wary of taking violent moves to get a potential rejection. So I wait for the clear confirmations for me, which are the blue candle breaks, right? If I'm looking for a reversal or a trend flip, and not a full-blown reversal, okay? I'm not a reversal trader. I'm looking for the opposite to happen. When we are uptrending, we're going to see the blues get respected and the purples break. Okay, so this is going to be the common pattern of quantum. You're going to see the purples break and you're going to see pushes up, right? You're going to see blues fight each other with levels on different time frames. This is the 1 minute, right? But as long as you're seeing more purples break, that's telling me that the bulls are still in charge, as they're still winning. Once I start seeing the opposite happen, once I start seeing consistent blues break, that's telling me there's a little attempt of a flip. But you're going to see some break and some hold. Let me get rid of these lines. I'm just going to have them as, let me just make them blue so you guys can see when they're blue. All right, blue. Okay, so when I have a break here, all right, you're going to fight the next candle down here. Okay, then you're going to fight this one, and then you're going to fight the next one. As you trickle down, you're going to fight these little areas. Okay, so as you can see the moves, right? You can see the break came right down to this one, couldn't close below it, came to retest that previous, rejected again, right? And it's all support and resistance. So we should all have a basic understanding of support and resistance, right? When resistance becomes support and when support becomes resistance. So I marked the wicks of the blue candles, right? The bottoms of the wicks If they have them, if they don't have them, it doesn't matter. It's the bottom of the blue, the lowest point of that blue candle. Or for the purple candles, the top wick or the top of the candle itself. You're going to mark those as your bearish zones. Right? This is how I look at my levels. Right? So when you have this blue break, right, then we're going to fight this blue right here, right? If you don't have any quantum levels in between, you're just fighting the candles. If you have quantum levels in between, you're going to fight the levels as well. But you see the bouncing, 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 then it breaks. Then it's fighting the same resistance, or the support turned resistance points, right? You're fighting this, you're fighting this. You're attempting to get down here. Couldn't make it all the way, so it's just bouncing, retesting everything, and finally you get a couple tests, and it pushes up, and then you see the bulls took over again, and you'll see the failed bearish moves, right? So for me, everything is about there being room, okay? So on something like this, right, this from 52 to 48, 4 points of room. I don't like that short. I like it more down here from 48 to 38. There's 10 points. Still not ideal because I want there to be more than 10 points of room to avoid this, because there's no guarantee you're going to tap that initially. There's going to be an attempt, a pull up, a pull down, a pull up. Eventually you'll get tapped potentially, right? There's no guarantee. So I want there to be more room. If I'm going to go for 10 points, I want there to be at least 15 to 20 points, so I can at least get close to getting my 10 without it reversing on me. So if this blue candle wasn't here and this one was down here, this would look much better. But this one was up here. You're only 10 points. I'm going for 10 points, no guarantee. If I took the short here, guess what? I would have gotten 48, 42, got right. I would have gotten really close. No dice, gotten taken out, and probably gone a little bit tilt or gotten mad or, you know, whatever. There's many things that could have happened at this point. Right, so this is about the part about being selective that is important. I want to be selective. I want there to be room. So if there is no room down and I have more room up, I'm going to wait for potential move up. Okay, so here you have two quantum candles. So you have this one, this one, this one. You actually have three. You got this guy, and this guy. Okay, so here, right, you can kind of see where that barrier was. And there's a little tip break that occurred earlier, right? Here's a tip break, failed, boom, came all the way back down, tested the level. And then you had this one right here that finally broke and retested and held. This was your move. This was super chop. And again, we were basing this off of just the 1 minute. We might have had a 2-minute purple candle there that was holding it down as well. When you have a higher time frame purple candle, you need that higher time frame to break that level. So until that happens, right, you're going to have pauses. This looked good initially. You would have gotten taken out here. This one, right? This one was the actual play that actually took you up. We might have had this lined up with the higher time frame. It's hard to tell right now, but this is why I look at my 1, 2, and 5. So if I see a 2-minute purple lined up here, all right, whoops. I just accidentally, oh, I hate when I click that by accident. All right. Let me bring that to front. Make sure my levels are correct. This is going to be the 1 and the 5. And then I want to that to 5. Boom. All right. So if I'm looking around this time, this was about 8:47 a.m. on Friday. Let's take a look at the 2. 8:47 a.m. All right, I want to see if we have other barriers here on any higher time frames that we could be fighting. All right, 8, 10. So we have this guy, and then we have this guy, 8:46. Yep, so we have this guy. We have that 1 minute initially. Then we had all these. All right, so you have that 1 minute up here, and you have some 2 minutes forming over here. So here you had a little break, a fail, then another one, and just kept holding on to this 2-minute blue down here. So you can see where it got trapped. And it's just bouncing back and forth, failing to break underneath this, which is okay-ish. It's holding it up. A little attempted break here. It failed, and then we had the breakdown. So again, right, you're going to take some L's. It's a part of it. Quantum's not perfect like any other system, but everything's about control. If I took this L, there's another setup down here, right? 2-minute break and retest. That one played out well. So it's all about control, right? With me, quantum is all about control. I have my clear guidance for stop losses. I have my clear setups. I'm waiting for everything to align. Ooh, Asia's coming in short right now or not? Let's take a look. Let me take a look at the 2. I just saw it was 8 o'clock, so I immediately went into scroll because I like to see these movements. We got really close to those levels up here. Really close. Right, and look where we're bouncing, right? Again, the flip of support and resistance. Ugh, okay, what the heck does that? All right. All right, this was the resistance point at 207, Asia went down to test 209, just bounced off of it, but doesn't mean it's going to hold on to it just yet. If it breaks through it, then we're going to potentially test this blue down here at 193. All right, but it needs to break back underneath that previous resistance turn support, right? It also lining up with the cloud on the 5-minute right here at 208, almost on the dot. So if you're looking at my crosshairs, right, 207.75, if I line up here, it's almost exactly at the same area, actually. I put it right in 208, so by a quarter. Let's see if we get a failed bearish move here and we push up to these levels, but it needs a candle closure. Right, and that's the basic concept. Me, support resistance guy. Sauce box, right? Gravity zones, repel zones, support resistance areas. Very simple. Gravity are anchored, so they're easily flip-flop back and forth. But those anchor spots get really tested a lot during New York, during Asia. So I think I was going to actually go into that before I reverted to the quantum candle plays. Right? How I use gravity zones for Asia. Very simple. Depends on where we open around it. I want it to be, I want it to contest. I want it to fight, right? So we opened above this one. That's setting up as a bullish push against this one. And then this is the one that we're contesting. And we stayed on top, on the top half, right? You had a little attempted break and it just stayed on the top half. And again, I use these like orbs, right? Respecting midline, respecting midline, respecting midline, a break and a push. Came back. We had a level form at the center here at 91. Now that level was held and you can see the explosion push now. The next area is all the way up here. I don't have anything in between. Everything in the way. All right, let me get rid of these blue lines. All right, everything in the way are levels and quantum purple candles that need to break for it to get to that next box. So these are these little areas where you can see potential reaction, right? Little rejections or just pauses. And that's everything that I use. That's how I use quantum support resistance. We just had a break of that repel zone. Another decent potential push is going to occur if this holds. All right, let's look at this setup right here. But let's look at the risk. Let's look at the risk again, right? I don't use levels as TPs, but I still like to see what it looks like when I'm watching it, right? You have about 14-ish points. It's a pretty big dig. It could pull back a little bit, right? You want it to hold that area. That's a pretty big impulse push, but again, right, you're fighting against a stacked level. No guarantee it's going to get up there. I want to sit and see what it's going to do. What's ATR at right now? It pushed up a little bit. It's almost at 6. Pushed up a little bit. So I like to watch it. I like to see. Okay, if ATR was normal and I felt decent about it, I'd definitely wait for a pullback, get in, make my risk a little lower, and then see if we get that push towards those levels or not. Okay. What's up? All right, let me see. All right. So far, I've just used quantum and not gravity. Would you say that to get payouts, should I use both? I mean, when I got my initial payouts easy, it was just quantum. Gravity didn't become a thing, right? Saucebox gravity didn't become a thing for me until about, I want to say, I started using it purely for Asia in like late February, early March of 2025. So between October 9th, 2024, I got my first payout. And then I started coaching in April of 2025. So I was getting nothing to payouts. I was using quantum only quantum. And then I had an inkling of Saucebox, right? I kind of was using a different essence of it. And I was doing my thing, testing it, finding out what the patterns were, how consistent it was, and how much I could trust it. But I was only using it for Asia. And as I started coaching and then back testing it, I started to notice that it would play out throughout the day. So then I started to put them back on my chart and started going back in time and just doing progressions. Right? Looks like this is not gonna play out here. I would do progressions. So the progressions would take me throughout. I remember starting in I think I started like a year and a half back in time from that February or March. And then I just started drawing the boxes and I just started, there's a zoom in. I started drawing the boxes and I just started to go through the runs of, okay, Where do we start? Okay, here's day 1, day 2, day 3. And then as I would kind of watch how they bounce around and respect them, I'm like, okay, this is a thing. And then I started teaching it that way too. And then I started trading it that way. So my bigger payout started coming because I was using Saucebox as an added confluence. So I was using it as an additional area of interest where I was catching bigger trades, right? But it wasn't necessary for me for payout consistency because I was using Quantum mainly. And again, Quantum is just consistent scalping, right? You can catch big moves. You guys know about the trifecta. So you can catch big moves, but I'm not chasing them. You guys know I don't chase. I do my scalping. I get trailed out. I do that on repeat over and over and over again. All right, so we had a blue pop up in that repel zone. It didn't stop us out yet. I mean, if anybody was testing it, but it got really close. It's Quantum work on tracing. Okay, do it again. Start trace. What's up, everyone? Hope you all had a good week. Okay, because I saw Funded Seed. Funded Seed doesn't use wealth. Funded Seed doesn't. Yes, wealth. Okay, no trade away. I didn't see it. If I see the 5-minute close outside the box, does that usually mean the 1 minute will follow? The box, the sauce box. Everything I look for my setups are mainly based on the 1, unless I see like a 5-minute level break or candle break. That's the only time I ever look at the 5. The 5 is higher risk. So again, right, I'm not going to really eyeball a 5-minute break and try to get in on the 1 minute chart after, because by then it's too late. The play is usually far gone, but we took a 5-minute trade on Friday. On Friday, we took a 5-minute trade. So, it depends on the risk. It was a low risk trade. But sometimes it does present on low ATR, right? 2-minute, usually during low ATR, the 2-minute work out way better than the 1, and then the 5 as well. So it just varies there, Lionel. It can vary, but I mainly look for 1-minute entry points. As far as risk, how do you manage it with the intraday trailing drawdown? Because I went to start using Lucid. I don't look at the intraday X-Trucker. Logan has spoke this as well, and I've said it as well before, right? Because I never look at my drawdown. I never look at intraday drawdown. I never pay attention to it. My stops are usually pretty small, so I'm never worried about it. That's not something I like to think about, and it's gonna feel that way. Okay, let's go. Like again, I don't size big, right? So 5-6 micros, I take a 10-point stop loss. That's $150. Oh, I just lost 150 in drawdown, right? But if I didn't take my green, right? If I was looking for 10 points and I didn't take points, I didn't take I usually take half or more off the table when I hit 10, right? And now if I took that stop loss, right, back even, break even or whatever on those 2 micros I had left running, what am I going to lose? $20, $30, $40 maybe on drawdown? So it's never in my mind, right? If I lose the whole trade, I've just lost $150 on one trade. Oh, well, right? But that's not going to affect my overall drawdown in the end. So I'm never like chasing it or thinking about it. I'm just getting into the trades, taking my TPs, letting the runners run, repeating over and over and over again, right? If I want to put let's say I have OCD, right? Because I know there's some traders that have OCD. Let's say I have OCD. I'm just going to take everything out at a set TP and let my drawdown stay at 2,000. But the majority of the time I follow the same routine. I'm trailing after I hit my main TP. I trail, rinse and repeat over and over and over again. So I never think about trailing drawdown. 2 red candles and the cross is back. Yeah. The 2 minutes trying to cross down here. The 2 minutes trying to cross down. So there's a lot of contradiction right now. We have the 1 minute cross down already. The 2 minute is due for a cross down. 2 minute now giving us a range. 1 minute gave us a range. All right. So we have a 1 minute range. So I'm going to take this off for now. All right. So this is there's a lot of fight going on right now, right? We're surrounded by level. We're surrounded by a repel zone. We're surrounded by a 2 minute and 1 minute range. A golden MVG down here. There's nothing that looks really clean to me right now at all. Like at all, right? We guess unless we get a flip of trend, but we need to break underneath that 208 on the 5, and then we can go for 191. Every move is tiny. So right now we're going to test the bottom side of this blue, potentially. Let's see if it gets down there. And if the 2 minute, right, if the 2 minutes is going to take charge, we need that 2 minute to break under 209. And then you have room, got a golden MVG at 201. Then you have that 193, 191. The 5 minute is still due up for a cross up. So the 5 minutes looking very ugly. 2-minute range, 1 minute just broke the bottom of this blue. All right, but the 2 minute needs to break the bottom of that blue. So right now, I honestly, the way this ATR is looking, I wouldn't even be looking at the 1 minute. What's the 2 minute ATR? The 2 minute ATR is at 7, right? The 5 minute is at, do I even have it on here? The 5 minutes at 10. So 5 minutes at 10, 2 minutes at 7, the 1 minute, 3, 4, or 6. It's going up a little bit. But 1 minute looks super choppy. Like, I wouldn't be looking at it at this point. I'll be focusing on the 2 and the 5. I don't remember you using Saucebox in the Power Hour when I started in April of last year. Oh, I had it on there. I wasn't like announcing it, right? Because I was still testing it. I was still in the testing phases. So I wasn't like really talking about it just yet at that time, Drop Dead. It was just something I just started noticing, and then I started teaching it. And the more and more I went and back tested it and forward tested it, I was like, okay, these are areas. And then I think it was like a few months after that I really started saying Saucebox. Can I use gravity on well chart soon with Wet Dog? It's not on there just yet. When you're marking your SD zone using the candles, are you also marking the wicks? Yes, always the wicks, QDiz. Always the wicks. So I'm always marking the wicks. Like, I always have the magnet on, usually to make sure I have the wick right on the money. And I'm always marking the quantum candle wicks. Every single wick. All right. Are there times when you take a trade and it goes into significant drawdown that you close the trade once it reaches your entry? I never get into significant drawdown unless I YOLO, and I'm already going to accept the YOLO. Again, right, 4 to 6 micros on a 50K, and I'm usually only going 4 to 6 if my risk is below 10 points. I'm never going to go into significant drawdown over one trade. I'm very, very consistent with that. That's why I don't blow accounts as much. Last month, I spent like I made it public already. I think made like almost 26,000 last month. I spent 800 on evals, 8 accounts basically. I didn't blow many at all. Like, I only blew like 3 or 4 YOLOs, and then a couple mistakes, something like that. Like, I don't make my payouts public all the time, right? Because family, gotta protect them. You guys don't know, when you make your shit public, man, you receive some of the most messed up stuff, right? That's why I got myself armed and protected as well. All right, and then if it hits stop loss, then the trade ends. Yep, you set the stop loss and close market. Yeah. So I always do close market. I don't always set it. So when I have time, I will set it. When I'm on my computer and it gives me a chance, I will put it on there. But the majority of the time, right, I'm trading on my phone. Like, I'm trading on my phone. And if you guys are familiar with my setup, right, I will always hit that cancel market all. I will always hit that. I will not go in there to try to type it in or fix my trailing or nothing. I like the way it's set to trail. So as soon as I see it hit, I'm like, boom, cancel exit all. Every single time. Yeah, gotcha. It's rough, yeah. This is rough, and you still came out 125 in the green, Scat. That's great, dude. I only traded those 2 accounts tonight. That's it. I haven't touched any other accounts, right? There are times, guys, there's going to be a little bit of extra psych for everyone here, right? There are times where you have to be able to sit on your hands. Not even I will touch some chop, right? There's some chop that's not worth it because there's no room, there's no movement. It's just trapped within like 5 or 10 points. It's not worth it. I'm not going to go and try to dabble a move for 5 points at a time. So there's times where you have to learn to sit on your hands and not take trades. I have certain rules in play. Everyone knows about my 3 strikes, no minis, right? And my 1-2-1 RR. Those are 3 core rules that I will follow. Outside of that, right, I will look at a trade. If I get into one trade and it takes more than 3, 4, 5 minutes, I'm getting impatient. I'm getting antsy. Now I want to size up because it's not moving, and I want to just get out of this quick and just come out a little green. I'm breaking rules there by adding contracts and going heavier just because I want to just get out of it and come out tiny bit green. And I will not do it to myself. I'll be like, you know what? Tonight's not a night to take trades. It's barely moving. There was only one clean setup at the open. There was another clean setup over here right before Asia. And then since then, it just entered chop zones. Like, it's just one move and then chop. And it's not even that clean either, right? We got this 2-minute range from 223 to 209, but it's just trapped. Like, it's just trapped right in here. The 5-minute looks ugly. Like, the 5-minute cross wants to cross up,
right? But we're trapped. It's just moving, bouncing around. There's no guarantee we're going to get across up. We're very close to these levels above. It's just, there's nothing clean to me. And this is where I would just take the night off and wait till tomorrow for New York. Maybe New York will have a decent move, or maybe in the morning pre-market. Sometimes there's decent movement pre-market into New York Open. Do you have a best to worst list of setups? For example, break and retest of candles on the 1 minute or 2 minute, 5 minute level or 2 minute level. So not really, because it all depends on what the market's doing. I'm reactionary, right? Tonight, super chop, right? Super chop. I used to trade the 30-second and 15-second. There's a reason I moved to the 1 minute. The 15-second and 30-second, a lot more chop. And it is tighter chop. The 1 minute, still choppy at times, right? Like right now, but the chop is wider, more playable. 2 minute and 5 minute, a lot more wider, right? When the ATR is low and there's barely any movement, that's where I'll focus on the higher time frames, but I always look at the risk involved first, right? If I see a 5 minute setup, what's the risk? Is it worth attempting it? Where are we? Are we trending up? I look at all these other factors where I'm not just going to be like, well, the 1 minute or there's a 5 minute setup, but we're up against the level, we're downtrending, we're uptrending. What are we doing? Right? I still have to be able to tell what we're doing. We're obviously in an uptrend. Like if you're looking at your 5 minute, you got your deep green cloud, so we're obviously in an uptrend. So again, I'm going to be kind of cautious taking shorts because each time it pulls down, there's going to be some sort of pull up, pull down, and pull up until I see a clean flip and trend. Right, where I want to see the blues breaking on every time frame. We're about to get a potential blue break here, right? But we still need to break this 209. Then we have room to test some of this, right? We have a golden, we still have things in the way. If you're not using MVG, right? If you don't have MVG, right? If you're just using quantum gravity, you don't have that, but we still have that repel zone here at 202 to 196 with a level right there at 196. So you still have to be careful where it could potentially bounce if you're still on an uptrend. You're still in an uptrend. So again, like when I'm playing, I'm not playing reversals, right? I'm playing reactions. So there's always going to be a pullback of some sort. How deep it's going to go, that's the question. What area are we going to test? If you're looking for swing points, right? Where's my swing point on the 196, right? Potentially, right? We're breaking this area, but that's not a clean swing point. The 2 minute, right? Same thing, 193. Could test all the way down here to 196. The 5 minute could come down all the way here to 191, 192. Right? So there's different areas they can get to, and what is in the way, like what is in the way. So when you see, when somebody's in the short and it reverses off an area, and I was like, what was that? I didn't have anything there, right? I tend to have things that I look at where I see where this potentially dangerous to take a trade. Doesn't mean I won't take it if I have room. I'm just cautious with the risk. I'm going to accept the risk. I'm going to accept if it hits that area right below my TP. My TP is right below it, right? Let's say I had a TP at 195. It hits 196 and it bounces and misses my TP. I have to be okay with it because I have to understand the risk. I'm taking a trade against a level, knowing that it could bounce off that level. So when I'm looking for setups, I want there to be room. Is there room, right? If I'm looking at my 1, there's not a whole lot of room. On my 2, there's more room. On my 5, there's some room between 208 to 193. So that's what I'm going to base my setups on. So that could vary, Rackham. That can vary. Look at that meltdown happening right now. Right? This isn't presenting a clean break and retest for me. So again, there's no entry for me. Right? For me, no entry. And that happens sometimes. I just melting through everything. Now we're getting a full retest of that 193. You can see that wick. Very weak bounce. Let me look at the Dom is still okay. Dom is just starting to move finally. Dom is finally moving, but is not pulling up too deep just yet. 191.75 still needs to break. That needs to break next. But there's a chance we're going to get some sort of retest here. All right, we still have another 2 minute blue down here as well at 187 to keep an eye on. Below that, we have room to 160. So here's your first break at 193. All right, it's pushing right through 193. So now it can potentially go retest this 207, 208 if it closes above here. And I got a barrier now here on the 5 minute I could put. Okay. Let's see what this looks. This 191 still needs to break, right? Look where we just bounced. We closed above it, bouncing up, right? But now where can we retest? Right? We can retest 208. We can retest 213. You could retest 217. It could come up quite a bit to retest a lot of that pull down. So I will never play again, right? I will never enter a move that's already occurring. I wait for retests. Not saying it's actual list, but you find so like the easiest setup I teach everyone, Rackham. So if you're thinking about like just pure setups, is the quantum candle breaks. That is the easiest, most repeatable, especially when you have a clean trend. When you have a clean trend, easy setups to learn. That's why that's the first setup I teach everyone to master. After that, the A++ with a strong confluence, right? Whether it's a fib, whether it's orb, whether it's gravity, whether it's whatever anybody else can use, right? You guys have your own liquidity, whatever areas, you can use that as well. A lot of other traders have shared certain liquidity zones that they share with me, and then I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I got a couple signals off of these, and then like they start looking into it, and they use quantum as an added confluence because they can set their stop losses a little tighter, they can look for better entry points, things like that, right? So the signals themselves work best with confluence, right? This is not a simple, oh, I see a signal, take it. No, you have to have confluences. I will not take signals in the middle of nowhere with no added confluences. You tend to get burned. Right, so the quantum candle breaks, easiest one. Then you can have your A++. After that, the levels. The levels will be next, and then you got your trifecta. But the trifecta is based on the A++, right? You gotta have the confluence line. You gotta have everything lining up for push up. Have you shared your trailing setup? I get confused on Welch's how to do that. If it's no, I've shared my trailing. I usually trail one from entry and one from 5 points behind. Right, one from if I'm depends where I get in, right? If I get in 8 points, right, one will trail from 8 points, the other one will trail 5 points behind that. But usually that's when, again, right, if I got into a 7 or 8 point stop loss, I'm in with 5 micros, I take 3 off. If I'm in with 6, I'll take 4 off and I'll let 2 run. So that's when you see my runners, right? You guys will see my runners, it'll all be 1 or 2 micros. On the rare occasion where the play explodes, right, and I can't even trail, you'll see I have 4 or 3 micros, but it already popped, so I couldn't even set my TPs. It just left. It goes. Some of these moves happen really fast. Did you see my pre-market? I haven't yet seen it, Scat. I'm not shocked with the ATR either. We got nothing major this week. No major news. CPI came out flattish, right? It was honestly somewhat. There's a chance that there's going to be a rate increase again. So it's surprising that we're going up. We're in weird times right now. We're in weird times. Where things seem a little bit reverse, right? Where we're still pumping, even though it seemed like the inflation went up slightly, so it's weird. No major news this week unless Trump tweets something crazy. We might not see that much volatility during Asia. We might see it all during New York. So it's going to be a very much so about patience this week. And I don't think we have any major news for the next couple of weeks, honestly. Why is Gravity Zone not on the 2 minute? Also, the highest time frame you can see use. So I don't use it on the 2 minute, Ash. When I play Gravity, I mainly use it on the 1. Can you use it on the 2? Yes, you can. You can use it on the 2 and the 5 if you want, right? But I don't. I use it on the 1. Right? You can absolutely use any time frame you want on it. That all just becomes a patience game. What are you willing to wait for and test and blah, blah, blah. Right? I prefer the 1 minute, much quicker. Again, I'm not a patient person. You got to kind of mold things to your liking, to your style. So you'll see, again, right? 2 minute setups around them. You'll see 2 minute repel zones. Same idea. Everything is the same idea. Same general idea. But I like entries on the 1 minute. All right. See that news candle where it bounced. See the respects, the blows, the push, the bounces, right? I love it when it's trapped inside 2 boxes like this. Like, so easy to play these. This was what, Friday? Yeah, this was Friday at 2 in the morning. I missed this. I was like, man, it was a nice little Asia or pre-London session. Bounces back and forth. All right, when a box tends to hold every time it hits, you can see the reactions. I tend to play those every once in a while. Right here, you can see the same thing, right? 2 minute holding in between, push, 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 and we're doing it again. 1 minute holding, right? You can see where, again, right, that short happened. Look where we bounced off the 191. There's a nice little 10-point push up. Now it's more, but this is why, again, right, I'm cautious where I short, where I enter trades. I usually wait for a retest. If we're going to switch to a downtrend here, I need to see it reject, right? There's several retest points, unfortunately. So this could retest, again, I said 207, 208. It could retest 213. It could retest all the way up to 218. Could. But again, I don't use it on the 2. And that doesn't mean you can't. That doesn't mean you can. You can absolutely, right? You can take it, put it on the 2 and the 5, and you can see what suits your style. If you're more patient than I am, go for it, right? The only thing I won't use on the 5 is the gravity zones, because they're just harder to play, really, because you're going to have a lot of compression around different boxes. I will only use these on the 1. So there's not going to be a whole lot. You're not going to see a whole lot of room on the 5, right? Unless you like open it up. But it's hard to open it up unless you have my list. You know, on the 5 minute, you're going to have a lot more compression boxes because it keeps a lot more data. So it has a lot more older boxes, and it won't have the deletion criteria that I look for. It only has the easy deletion criteria, which is when they overlap. But there is another deletion criteria that I have, actually 2 more that I have, that the 5 minute, unfortunately, we can't script it because it throws it all off. But the same thing, right? The same thing with the, this is something I started testing, right? The MVGs. I have the MVGs on the 5 minute. The 5 minute golden MVGs have been amazing. Let's see if we have a failed bullish move here or not. It needs to break that 197 to go back to 191. If we're going to continue to potentially flip the trend here, but it hasn't happened yet. We need to see it fail this bullish move here. For now, it's testing further up. All right. Why is gravity zone on 2? When I play the retest, I never know what time frame or which level, if there are stacked levels to enter and retest on. So yeah, that the retests can vary, man. Like it could retest there. Right now we have several points of retest. I use the DOM. I use the DOM as reaction. It can vary sometimes, right? This big meltdown gave several retest points. Several. We have levels now that we have to break. So you have to really be very patient and wait for it to get to one to test if you're going to attempt an entry, right? But again, right, you have 208. If it breaks over 208, then you have 213, then 216, 18. So you have 220 is the level up here as well. So you have several. Like I'm not going to enter down here with a chance of it potentially getting up there. But that's all basic, right? The market structure that I gave a good amount of market structure sauce in the wealth charts, the first wealth chart summit, right? If you guys go back to watch that class, there's a lot of sauce in there about market structure and how I look for those retest levels on that, on the market structure, right? Because market structure in the end is king. That's the main thing, right? Higher lows, lower highs, lower lows, all that stuff, right? You can look for those retest zones again, right? They can vary. I like to see which time frame is in charge. That's why I look at the 1, the 2, and 5. The details on that's where there's a lot of sauce involved. But until, right, you can see the right, we're respecting, right, this 1 minute candle has not been broken under yet. Remember, okay, so look, it's good. Now it is, right? Well, tempted. It hasn't closed yet. It's still got 30 seconds. These 2 candles did not close below. This one, let's see if it closes below. It has to close below. This is where candle closure is important, because you can see a wick, it pulls right back up. It has to close below the blue and that 197. We still need that 191 closure below. Okay. So the retest again, right? Sometimes you don't have clear retest areas. Right now we have 3. We have 3 retest areas, right? This hit close to the first one, got really close to that 208. Okay, hit 203. Didn't make it all the way up. All right, now we have that candle broke. Now we need this candle to hold. Now this needs to hold underneath those 2 breaks, that 198. So there's a wick, there's a little bit of a rejection. Then we need to break 191.75 next. And then this is where it gets tight, right? Between 198 and 191, that's only 6 points. Nothing decent for me there. And it's super choppy, so it could give a little pull up, and then a little pull, and then eventually it'll go. But there's not enough room. And that's me. That's my style. When I play the retest, but you mainly play the break and retest on quantum candles and the 1 minute and 2. Yes, Rackham. I mainly play, when I'm scalping, I mainly play the break and retest of quantum levels, quantum candles, right? And then when a decent A++ setup presents itself around a major point of interest for me, Sawsbox, an orb, or a repel zone of some sort, anything like that, right? That's what I'm looking at. Like this here, and again, right, remember what an A++ setup is. Remember what an A++ setup is. The cross has to occur within the center or behind to be a true A++. Like this right here, that's not a true A++. I would take away a plus on this one because the cross happened in front, right? So if you look at it, right, if I take that crosshair out, you can see that the cross is in front of the center of the candle. The center is the wick. The cross happened here. So the move is already in progress. The move is already happening here on this candle. Then it pops back up, retest that level. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Now you're just rejecting that level, that 220. And you can play that 220 rejection 5 or 10 point stop loss, right? You could use a swing point, right? You could use those what do you call these? The pivot points, or as a stop loss, whatever you want to set as a stop loss, as long as the risk is there. Again, this is where I'm saying you could use it multiple ways. You have your resistance and support points, levels, quantum candles, right? Add confluence as a line, and you could play this many ways. I have my specific setups. Doesn't mean you can't test different setups, right? Or again, I will look for 10. I want to go for 20. Obviously, I go for 10 first, and then let my runners play. Right? Quantum is a whole strategy. So you always remember that. Quantum is a whole strategy. It's not a regular run-of-the-mill signals, right? It's got the signals, yes, but they play best. Like we got to see here, right? We're potentially flipping trends. We just broke a bunch of blues over here. Now you broke another one, and there's your break and retest right back to 191, and we're still respecting 191. So what I say about this short right here being risky, because look, right, you are risking 2 points unless you're going to scalp it for 5 points, which again wouldn't be a bad idea right now, right? But to me, it's not worth it. To me, it's not worth it. There's a break and retest on that blue and the level. All right. And where did you have room to? That 191. If you break through that 191, then you have some room down. But for now, that's it. Right? If you're looking for 10, you need it to get down to midline on this box. But until we break that 191.75, we're going to struggle to get there. Let's see if it gets there. You actually had a decent break and retest right here on this 211. This 209 obviously just melted right through. But right here on the 2 minute, right? Again, this is dangerous because of where you're at. You're fighting still this one. So it does make this trade very risky. All right, so your risk on this guy would have been about 5-6 points. Obviously, it gave you your 10, but it's hard to tell with this in the way because there was a high chance it could have bounced off. It didn't, right? It did play out. But that's a risk, right, that you're going to be willing to take or not. That's up to you. Let's see if it breaks that 191. Want to play retest? Okay, hi. Can I just trade the one? Yeah, you can just trade the 1 and the 2. You can absolutely pick your time frames that you like. If the 1 minute and 2 minute has a purple candle and the 1 minute breaks the purple candle, the 2 minute did not break the purple candle, do I get in on the 1 minute break? I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't, Carol. I would wait for the 2 minute. Right, the higher time frame levels are gonna hold more weight. Right, this is why I go up to the 5. Could you go up to the 15 and 20 and 30? Yes, you could, right? You could go to the 7, the whatever time frame that's higher, and it's all going to play out the same way. You have to wait for that time frame to break that level. But I stick to the 1, 2, and 5. I used to just play the 1 and 5. The 2 became a thing later on. One of our quantum traders, Kathy, I think was her name, Katie. Oh my God, I forgot her name. It was so horrible. She's the one that kind of introduced me to that idea. And then I started to look at the 2. I'm like, oh yeah, the 2 looks pretty clean, especially during choppy Asia. During choppy Asia, the 2 minute looks clean. Like we saw this little clean play right here, right now, right? This is also a break and retest over here, but this is a very deep retest. We still have this quantum blue we're testing right now, right at 187 around the 2 minute, right? We need to break through that. But if you look at this, the progression on the 2 minute, right? You have this one, you have this one, right? We just broke this one and just did a break and retest. Okay, like you can watch how it happens. Okay, like look at this, right? On the 2 minute, right? We broke this one, look where we bounced. We have that level there as well, 191.97 plus a blue on the 2 minute bounced. Came back down, now we had a break of that second layer. There's your break and retest right there. And where are we bouncing? Right off of that guy. You can see it doing its thing over and over and over again. Then we're trapped in here until this thing breaks. Once this thing breaks, then there's room for it to go down. But until that blue breaks, this blue is the last one that needs to give way. We're trapped in here. It could re-break all this. It could reclaim, right? Everything that was support before, it could easily reclaim it and go test the previous area. Until we break this down here, this is where we're going to be trapped. I can get rid of those now, right? But I can eyeball it. I could keep an eyeball on it too. Remember, like my way is not obsolete to everybody, right? Just because I traded a certain way doesn't mean you guys can't see a different thing and make it your own, right? You guys see a different pattern. Oh, this plays out pretty cool. You can share it. You can just test it, keep it to yourself, whatever you want to do. Quantum adds so much structure and so much control over a lot of your trades, right? I look for those same setups every day on repeat, whether it's New York, Asia, London, it doesn't matter what time. Obviously, I'm not awake for London, but the setups have not changed in over 2 years, guys. I've been trading this way. I've been trading quantum for almost 2 years now. Like a little over. I started developing. I was 2024. We're in 2026 already, right? Quantum was born, I want to say truly born, around this time, I think. I want to say around this time, September. And then I got my first payout October 9th. So it's been 2 years now. And the setups have not changed really. It's the same setups. The quantum blues and the quantum purples. Actually, no, I'm lying right there because the quantum blues I wasn't playing at all. I was only playing the purples. I was only playing the purples. The blues didn't become a thing until me and Owen started bumping heads. And Owen was like, why don't you play the blues? And a lot of people used to tell me this. Why don't you play the blues? I'm like, oh, I just don't play them. I just play the purples. And he started showing me the exact same patterns on the blues. And I was like, yeah, I see them. But I used to hate shorting. I only liked to long. I was looking for nothing but longs. So those first 3 or 4 payouts were all 90%. I want to say 95% long plays. Like I was just looking for breaks of purples, hitting the long button over and over and over again. The blues didn't come into play till later on with Owen. So that's where we shifted from the consistent purples to the blues. But nothing, if you guys go back as far as you want on those quantum videos, the setups have not changed. They're all the exact same. Okay. I've watched everything you, Max Logan, had to offer. I just can't seem to get profitable. Why do you think that is, Easy? Like, why? What do you think it is? Like, are you having trouble understanding the risk? How's your sizing looking? Like, you have to be able to come up with the reasons you're struggling, because that was mine. Okay, so for me, right, those 3 rules that I created were created because of what I was struggling with. Number 1, right, when I lost, I could not stop because I wanted to make that account green. If that account was red, I wanted to make it green, and I would blow that account to make it green, right? That's the 3 strikes. Those 3 strikes prevent me from doing that. What I added on top of that was I'm not going to look at the P&L, because if I look at the P&L and I see red, I know I'm immediately going to want to try to make it green, and I don't want to do that, right? So I use that rule to control that, right? The minis, no more minis rule. I used to size with minis. I used to trade 2 to 3 minis on 50K accounts, right? And I could pass evals, but I would blow the fundeds really fast. The closest I ever got to a payout playing minis was on that My Funded Futures Expert account that I had 14K, and I blew it in less than 10 minutes playing minis because I couldn't accept a loss. Okay? So those 2 rules alone already controlled 90% of my issues, right? The 1-in-1 RR thing was just because I wanted it to be consistent, right? I knew I was very comfortable getting 10 points. I knew I was very comfortable when I waited for the setup, I waited for the moves to happen, I could get 10 points. And that 1-to-1 RR rule was born with the most I'm gonna. This was when I was first trading those Tradeify straight to funded. The most I'm gonna risk was 10 points, and I'm gonna try to get those 10 points, and that was it. And those 3 rules I had to stick to. Was it easy? No. Right? I've shared this many times. It was not easy. A lot of self-sabotage, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of talking myself out of reversing all of it. Because I remember when I first switched to micros, I hated it because I was trading 3 minis, right? 5 points is $300. 5 points with 5 micros is $50. And I was like, this is gonna take forever. That's where my mind went immediately was, oh man, it's gonna take forever for me to get to this and to get to that. And if I just went in my minis, I'd be done right now, right? But when I would take the L's, when I would take the losses and I would look, I just took a 7-8 point point loss. And I'm like, oh, I only lost $70, $80. That means I need to lose like 20 plus trades in a row to blow this account. That's what I started to focus on. And that was my turning point. Every single one of us is going to have a different turning point, right? Again, another thing, right? ATR is super low. This is something I always tip my hat off to Logan. Power hour, right? One of us has got to trade, right? I have multiple different setups. I'm going to call more trades, obviously. Am I going to lose some? Yes, it's a part of it. It's going to happen, right? But you have to be disciplined enough to not trade as well. I don't trade all the time. Everyone, contrary to popular belief that I'm always on my phone trading and clicking buttons, I still have certain criteria I like to see, right? ATR is super low. It's choppy. It's bouncing around. We're in one gravity box. It's very tight. We're barely breaking levels and moving. I'm not trading this, period. I'm not trading this because I'm going to save myself headache. I'm going to save myself trouble getting faked out and trying to catch moves between this, and it's going to break it by a little, then bounce off. And it's like, no, you know what? I'd rather not. I'd rather not look at this chop and just take my night off and focus on waiting for the next night where we have good ATR, right? There's many different factors that you have to learn to control. What is causing you to not be consistent? Let me look. Hold on. I entered the short closely, watching the 5 minute, went up to the 5 minute on gold and caught that 2 blue candle 3 bar. It was nothing but love. Let's go. Q this. Catholic gravity midline in 5 minute. Yeah, you have a lot right now. We're in the gravity zone. I know people. I tell my students and I guess I can share this with you guys now that everyone kind of has gravity in a sense. I don't play against gravity. I don't. Like if we're in a box, I'm not going to short it inside the box. I'm just not, because there's a high chance that it's going to react, just like we're seeing right now. That's a cardinal rule of mine, right? Just like Fight Club, right? You don't talk about Fight Club. I will never, like if I saw this short right here, but that's me, right? This is me. Doesn't have to be you. This is me. Does not have to be you. Obviously, it shorted and it played out well. But this is me. I'm not going to play against gravity. I don't play against gravity. If we're sitting at a gravity zone, that's another rule of mine where I'm going to sit on my hands because I've been caught on too many fake outs, and I'll just watch price action and let it do its thing. I just tried the 191 BNR, and then you said about the 189 blue. I didn't see and just hit stop loss. The 189, right? And again, right, we're in a gravity zone, but 189 and 191. 189, 191. So I'm trying to see where you're looking at. So right here, we're at 91, right? You're really close to this level over here. And then 189. Now, the move's already happened again, right? The move is already happening. This is market structure. Wait for the retests. It's always going to go and retest a lower high potential if this downtrend is going to continue. So there's still a few things, right? You don't want to just take every single setup you think you see. You still have to be patient. The cleaner setup was all the way up here at 99. Right, again, if you're not using gravity, I'm not going to take this. It played out, but I'm not going to take it up here. This 197 trade played out right here. This one played out. Break and retest right down here. This got tight. We were tight between 2 minute levels, right? But again, right, you're still making lower highs. You're still making lower highs. You have to be able to be patient with those retests. We're inside of gravity zone too. Like I said, again, I wouldn't play against it. I would wait for it to completely break, retest, and then push. So it sounds like you might need to go watch that market structure class, bro. The one that I have for free that's on the Wealth Chart Summit one. Right? You have to be able to understand that the market's gonna pull down, pull up, pull down, pull up. Don't try to get in on the moves that already occurred, right? You're trying to continue on a falling knife. It already occurred. The move started up here. Wait for the retest. There was your retest. There's your continuation. You're going to have another potential here. If this breaks this 88 on the 2-minute, but it still has to be a candle closure. You still want candle closure, not just because it breaks it by a moving candle. You have to wait for candle closure, right? Oh, it just went underneath 88. The candle didn't close. There's no closure yet. But I don't see the 191. The 191 was right here, right? And then you still have the 89, right? And then you still have this 2-minute. The 2-minute right here at 187, right? And this is a tip break, not the cleanest. And we're still pushing, right? We're making lower highs. So now we need to break this guy and that 188 level. Wonder why hold on. Did I not set my levels correctly? I didn't. 1 and 2. There we go. 2. No. I know what I did. This should be 5. This should be 2. Wondering why my 2-minute levels aren't showing up. Yeah, right there. All right. All right. So choppy nights, higher time frames work best. You like the shorts ads? I don't care what it is. I have no bias. Fucking love the sauce in your journey. I want to trust you, bro. Such an inspiration. I want to be just like you, bro. Don't try to be just like me, guys. Try to be you. Like, find that confidence, right? The way I have my confidence, or the way Llama has his confidence, the way Logan has his confidence, the way Max has his confidence, you guys have to find that, right? With whatever indicator or sauce that helps you get there. That's what you have to find, right? I don't want people to try to trade exactly like me, because you're never going to trade exactly like me or Max or Llama or Logan. You have to find your ground, right? What setup do I trust the best? What can I learn to read the best? Some people just can do market structure, right? But again, market structure can also be finicky when it's ranging, right? And that's what I love about Quantum, because Quantum can easily guide me of where we could start ranging. Okay. So I think I'll add a note to where, who was it? Was it Easy, right? When the action lines are curling in a direction, I also want to be careful, because what's going to happen when the action lines lock in, right? That's what creates the levels. So again, right, this short down here, when we were waiting for that 187 break, it was a break, but a tip break. So I have that tip roll, right? It only broke it by 50 cents. The level was at 187.50. The level broke at 187, right? Tip break. Then you had a cross occur, and a new level got created at 188, only 50 cents above the previous level. So now this is still viable. This is still a level to watch out for, and you saw that push up. So it's very important to understand the basics of market structure. Now, if we're going to continue to go short, right, this needs to break that blue candle and that blue and that new 2-minute level. And then it's going to make a lower low. And that's going to continue. It's going to make a lower low, push back up. So I recommend, Easy, go watch that the Wealth Chart Summit, because I went into a lot of detail into market structure in there. Could have helped the path, like you gotta crawl, be you, walk. Yeah, there you go. Execution is a real problem sometimes. Yeah, and you can't hesitate. You cannot hesitate. Learning to lose is the number one thing I will push on everyone. Learn to freaking lose. Not every trade's gonna win. You're gonna experience L's, right? I lost 2 MOCs last week. I lost 2 MOCs. I'm the MOC king. You think that scared me? No. I'm still gonna read the same things, the same setups, right? Friday we caught a banger. That's not going to change. I'm not going to become all of a sudden, I'm going to be like, well, my MOC doesn't work anymore. No, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. It's never going to change. Everything fluctuates. Everything, right? Weather fluctuates, charts fluctuate, moods fluctuate, everything fluctuates. So you have to find something that you trust. Quantum isn't going to be for everybody. Gravity isn't going to be for everybody, right? Some people are going to pick it up like this. Pick it up and literally, like I have students who already picked up Gravity with just that bonus class. The very first class that I taught, I already have people getting payouts and going to live off of that one class. I was like, whoa, that's freaking awesome. right? Others are going to struggle. That doesn't mean that you're going to be bad. I struggled, man. I rewatched the Mastermind course one, first course, the first class. I rewatched it 15 times until it finally started sinking in. I have dyslexia. I'm a slow learner. I learn by doing, right? I know that about me. So I started just putting everything into practice, and then I already had somewhat of a system with quantum, but it wasn't all perfectly put together just yet. But then I started to see everything else, and I was like, oh, okay, now I start seeing where the retests are happening and market structure, and when it gets choppy, and where the zones are, and this and that. Now I started seeing everything, right? Then I started learning about liquidity, what people call liquidity, orb and levels, things like that. And then I'm like, okay, I can see those. I can see these retest areas, these touch points where things get trapped, where reaction is, and everything just starts slowly piecing together, right? And that made me who I am now. But it took a lot of time, guys. I spent easily thousands and thousands of hours on the chart, back testing and forward testing. Tons of time, right? And I'm trying to, right, when I teach to people, I try to condense all my mess ups, right? Everything I messed up and everything I learned, the most consistent setups, into one little core amount of time, right? Into one, like, again, right? That's why these sessions, they're all the repeated information over and over again. Nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing's going to be beautiful, right? I don't have a 100% win rate. My win rate fluctuates. I have accounts that are like sitting at like 64% win rate, others that are sitting at 70, others that are sitting at 80, others that are sitting a little higher or lower, and it doesn't matter because it's about consistency, right? Am I going to be consistent? Am I going to follow my rules? If I don't see good moves and I get faked out 3 times and I took 3 stop losses, am I going to stop trading, or am I going to keep poking the bear and waiting for it to bite that account and blow it? I'd rather save that account when there's better price action and better movement and try to bring it back to life the next day if I can, right? Or if not the next day, right? Let's say I took 2 L's back to back on that account, but it's still not blown. The important thing is that account will not blow in 2 days, because by 3 strikes prevent me from blowing it in less than 20 trades. And if I'm only going to lose 3 times per day, that's 6 to 7 days of straight losing. Will I lose every single day? I hope not. With my track record, I know I don't, right? But I hate sounding cocky. I hate sounding like I never lose, because I do, right? But it's all controlled. Everything with me is about control. My stop losses, my entry points are the same. My risk is the same. I'm not going to throw money into the props and not take something out. I'm trying to say that, right? I was built from nothing. I had nothing. I had to protect all that. Said that many times. Ooh, each time is important though. That's where how many size. Yeah, don't. And the thing, right, Dan, I can tell you many times, you don't need a size big. It's not necessary. I've proven that what you can do with small size, but it's an individual thing, right? You're either going to do it or you're not. You're either going to be okay having slow days and having losing days and having accounts that you're going to end with either slightly in the red or slightly in the green, and you're either going to be okay with that or you're not. Okay, some of my accounts, some of these accounts where I have days, green 120, 130. There's some that I'm like negative 50 cents or something. There's some that I'm sometimes, plus $2, $3. And then I'm done with it. I'm okay. And if I'm red on it, I honestly, like when I'm red, when I take a 3 strikes and I'm red on it, I don't even know how much I'm red, because what do? I don't look at it, because I know if I look at it and it's red, I'm going to try to make it green. So those are little rules that I've built for myself. I feel like I've seen you lose less than 4 trades since I'm watching you since February 2025. Isn't that crazy, Rackham? I don't keep track. Like, I literally do not keep track, Rackham. And that's the thing. I do not keep track. I don't count my losses. I learn from them, but I don't count them. And I know I lose. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I take L's. But again, right, I'm very picky. So during Power Hour, if you're not hearing me call a clean play, I'm going to clean levels. If I say I'm in, then I'll be in. Okay, I'm going to wait for the retest and I'll get in. But the majority of the time, I'm going to be waiting. If it's too choppy, I might force a trade here and there because one of us has to, right? But other than that, I'm still going to be patient, right? That Friday where I waited for that 5-minute break, I didn't take a single trade. It was chopping around. There was a level hold, but it didn't look clean to me. It didn't look clean enough for me to take because we were still so close to the level. So I was like, well, I want to see if this 5-minute level breaks. If that 5-minute level breaks, then that means to me that the 5 minutes finally going to make an attempt to test a swing point. If that 5-minute level broke that 402, 403, or whatever it was, 102, I forgot where it was, 102, 103. I don't remember where price action was at that point now, but when I waited for that level to break, I got in. I was like, yeah, I'm in, guys. My stop loss is below 95, wherever we were at that point. And that was it. I was like, okay, one trade. There was one trade that whole power hour that led into the MOC for that move up, right? And then even before the show, when the show ended, it didn't even hit that level that I was looking for to test. I was looking to test 151. Price action ain't moving. So here, let's go to it. Let's go to it so I can show you guys, right? Better to actually not just talk about it, but actually show you. Friday, 15:30. Boom. Actually, should have gone on all of them. All charts. Friday. Yep. Okay. Let me get rid of these quantum lines. Some of these are from today. Okay. So here's Friday, right? Here's where we were during power hour, right? And here is that 102 candle on the 5 minute, right here. This is what I was waiting for it to close above, right here, on Friday, right here. Right, this candle was formed at 12:30 p.m. Okay, here's that 180 level that was held, right? You see a lot of wicks around it. It didn't look horrible, but it didn't look good because we were trapped between 181 and we had this 193 on the 2 minute as well, right? We have this, we have that 181 level, and then we also had this 193 on the 1 minute right here at 258. There was nothing clean for me. That was like too tight, 12 points. Not even 11 points, back and forth, 11 points, not clean. The only room I had was if we broke this 1 minute level and this 5 minute broke this 102.50, right? I needed all that to happen. Right, you saw this purple break over here. It didn't care about it. It broke that little guy. Didn't even bother to go test up higher. Came back down, retested that 81. That 30,081 held. Right, this is what I was waiting for. This up here for this 5 minute candle to close above that guy. That's all I was waiting for. 103 and a quarter, 102. And then I had room to 114.50. If we broke 114.50, we had room to that 151. All right, this empty space right here is what I was the most interested in. Okay. And let's hit play. Okay. So down a little bit. Right. So we're bouncing around, right? 5 minutes pulling up. It's trying to cross up. We just had that 2 minute do the break and retest right here, right? At 193 and pulled right up to 103. Very tight, right? Not to me, not worth the risk. Did it play out? Barely, right? You would have either, if you had your stop loss right on the candle, you almost would have gotten wicked out. Again, I like to give it a little bit of breathing room. The risk was still pretty small. It gave you that retest area. You could have put it below the level, looking for 10 points, and it barely gave it to you, or you got really close to just not getting it, right? The wick was right there, right? It doesn't matter. To me, not enough room to even attempt to take that. Too tight until we break all this right here. I need it to break on the 1 and the 5. Once that occurs, then I'm more interested in a long. All right, boom. Okay, so the 1 minute broke. The 5 minute is now attempted. So the 1 minute did break, right? But the retest was deep because we're still waiting for that 5 minute. The retest was deep. Once I saw this blue, now I'm like, okay, now we're building strength where we previously had resistance. So now I could put this blue here at 196. Right, this is my stop loss was right below this candle, okay? And I was waiting for this 5 minute to close above that 102, right? Once that occurred, this candle closed right above it, right? That candle closed right above it. What else did it do? It created a new 5 minute level at 100 and a quarter. So now this was looking very interesting to me because I'm like, okay, now we got a new 5 minute level. We just broke over that old 5 minute purple candle. Now I want this area to hold, and I entered the long. I actually took this long twice. The first break and retest, and then I entered it again because my runners got taken out. And I was like, well, I'm going to enter it again because I still kind of liked it, right? So this was actually the first one where it hit up and it hit my TP. Entry, right? And I was looking for 1550, right? Let's press play. Right, boom, right? Got it right there, barely. Got my 1550, pulled back, right? And then I got in again. Okay, and then I got in again. Same stop loss was right below, and I called this, my stop loss was below 195. Had it at 190 at 394, right there, right? I took this long 2 times. The second time was for MOC. MOC popped up, right? We had that level at 151. You guys just watched that break of that previous level. Okay. Right, this right here happened at 344. Let's go back. Okay, right there, that 314.50. All right, 314.50. There's your break. Right, came back down to retest. And then it pulled right back above that new level. And then it shot up. Let's get rid of this for now. Right, and then after power hour was over, I think we shot up to that 151. We kept retesting this area. You can see the level, right? And this is the thing with levels, right? When the levels get created where there was a previous level, it just adds weight to that area. That 1450 had a 2-minute level, a 1-minute level got recreated at 113.75, very close to that old level. Then you had that new level hold and push right up to that 151, and guess where we rejected? The 151, right? That level that was up there, that was eyeballing, that we had room. If we broke over 114, 151 came into play. Again, I will not use those levels as TPs. But this is simple, right? This is as simple as it was for me. I waited for that all power hour. We finally got it, and it played out beautifully. That was the only trade we took for power hour on Friday. That was it, right? Quantum candle break plus the 1-minute level. Then we broke that other one, and you had the push, and you just had the levels hold. That was it. Not rocket science or anything like that. Well, it's a little bit of rocket science. And then we had that rejection right at 151. That was it. And it just hung out. And it just got trapped between a bunch of levels. All right. I've blown accounts with trading micros. I've blown accounts with minis. I've blown accounts taking one and done. I've blown accounts every way imaginable. Easy. Sounds like you might just be bouncing around, bro. I don't know, because you shouldn't, like, it shouldn't be. Well, if you're blowing accounts, right? We blow accounts. It happens, right? But what's the time? Are you blowing them in less than a week? Are you staying consistent with your size? Are you using the same entry points over and over again? Are you strategy hopping and blending every strategy you've learned? Because with quantum, I'll say this right now, quantum is best if you come in with a blank slate. Blank slate, trust the process, do it, set your stop losses, respect the stop loss. Because I have a lot of people that say, I have my stop losses set, and then they really don't. Well, it's like, if you had your stop loss set, you wouldn't have blown your account in one day. Straight up. You would not blow your account in one day if you are strict. If you go into the quantum chat and the pinned messages, you're going to have to scroll down. Scroll down to the quantum challenge rules. You will see my sizing. You will see my sizing per the risk. Try to stick to that. See how you do with that. That's where I'm at. Okay. There's no such thing as the worst trader, bro. You're learning easy. It's all learning. You have to find that thing that makes sense to you. Like, what makes sense to you, and what are you gonna trust, right? What are you gonna trust? Every single time you see that setup, you have zero hesitation pressing the button. You have zero hesitation hitting your stop loss. It's the repeat, right? In essence, in the end, trading should become mechanical and boring. Okay, I'll tell you guys right now. I enjoy the fuck out of it. To me, this feels like a video game, right? I play different setups, but it took me a long time to read these setups, whether it's the chop, whether it's level play, quantum candles, A++ around reactionary areas, right? It took me a while to get to that point, right? Where I can easily see what's happening on the chart and play with it, okay? But you have to be able to find the one or two. Early for me, my 2 bread and butter setups early were the A++s, but again, I used Orb, I used some of Llama's fibs when I learned about him, like areas of interest, areas where I'm interested for price to get to, and those A++ signals. I used those plus the quantum breaks. That was the only two setups I ever played over and over again for a while. And then I started learning more, seeing oddities and patterns, right? Things that I break down in the course with MVGs, even more so now. A lot of detailed things that you can piece together however you want, right? But I'm like a crazy minded person where I can see multiple things happening all at the same time, and I could capitalize on a couple. And it's not easy to get there. So that's why I always tell people, do not try to trade like one of us. Do not try to trade exactly like Logan, exactly like me, exactly like Max, or exactly like Llama, right? You have to find that mechanical strat that you will trust and you will not hesitate. There's that setup. Boom, clicking. There's my stop loss. There's my stop loss. If I lose, I lose. Jesus, take the wheel. Whatever, whatever you want to say, right? Whatever you want to say, it's like, okay, it's under your control. Now you take it. If whatever happens, happens. That's where you have to get to with trading. All right. With quantum, does one timeline have more influence than the others? It depends. It depends, Daniel. Right now, right, where it's very choppy and low ATR on the one, I'd focus on the higher time frames. I will focus right now. We've seen more clean plays on the 2 minute than the one. The 1 minute's pretty choppy. Doesn't mean that you won't get some setups on the one. Right, we had a 1 minute level hold here at 27. You had this 1 minute level here at 13, right? And this was during power. If we go to right now, right? Let's go to right now. So again, right, this was Friday. Let's go to see what it's doing right now. Okay. Oh, we actually hit those levels just about, almost near that 136. So, all right, 1 minute recreated a level down here that broke by the tip, by the tiniest break, right? These blues formed here, held a 5 minute level formed, a brand new 5 minute cross. So this is old school right here with quantum, guys. This is when there's no trifecta. Trifecta is when the three signals align, right? The 1 minute, 2 minute, and 5 minute signals. The 1 minute will begin the process, but the action lines are all heading in the right direction, right? In the same direction, whether they're crossing up or they're crossing down. Okay, that's what the trifecta lead through is. You want to see the 1 minute cross up, give you a buy signal, then the 2 cross up, give you a buy signal, and then the 5 minute cross up and give you that potential continuation. We used to just play the levels being created. We call them stacked levels, where when the 1 minute, the 2 minute, and the 5 minute all line up without the signals. That can play out the same way, especially when there's low volume. You just want all three, right? We did have a cross up here that failed, pushed down, but then you had your 2 minute and your 5 minute line up right here. And this is a stacked level, the 1 minute and 2 minute. A little far apart, but they were both heading in the same direction. That's where you want to be careful with, right? The levels are going to get created. Are these levels going to hold? During Motlu, right? During Motlu, there was a long and a short that we took. The short was based on Saucebox. The long was based on a 5 minute level creation. The opening trade, the opening long for Asia. All I wanted to do was see this 5 minute level hold, this 160. That was it. I wanted to see if that cross was going to hold. If it broke through it, I would have gone stopped out. I would have waited for the gap fill. I had Saucebox down there as well. I would have waited for the test of it and see if we would have flipped back up, rebroke the 160, and maybe gone up or rejected, right? That's what I would have waited for. But I took this long on the open based on that 5 minute level. You just had a new 5 minute level get created here, right? And you had this 1 minute candle right before it closed. Look, it closed, it pushed up, it came back down to retest. Immediately after that candle closed, it came down to retest 202, right? Held and then pushed. So that's just level play. So again, quantum is a whole strategy, right? It's not like a linear, repeatable one setup. It's multiple setups. Learn to read each one, right? The easiest one I tell people to read is the quantum candle breaks, then the A++ setups, then the levels, right? Look where we're rejecting at 33. It's still low ATR. The rejections aren't going to be that strong. Again, this is why I decided not to trade anymore tonight, because I saw that the moves were taking forever, very slow, very choppy. Right, you're going to see wick breaks. That level broke by 50 cents, then immediately pulled up, recreated another level, right, and pushed up. It's going to happen on choppy nights. But when it's low ATR, Asia 2 minute tends to play out really well. And again, the 5 minute tends to play out really well as well. The 5 minute just broke that 218, but again, right, 218 to 136. We need to break this 136 next. 236, 237 needs to break next. Then you got 249. Then we got these two purples in here in between at 57, 56. Then you have 74 and 67. And then maybe we'll get to that next gravity zone. But these are where these positives are going to happen, right? Market's going to react around these levels, right? Previous areas, and there's your rejection right near these levels. All right. The wealth chart summon one never uploaded. Not the most recent one, or the old one. The old one uploaded. Not the recent one, the old one. The first one I ever did. The new one we didn't record. This one right here, Carol, right? It's not a true A++ setup because the cross occurs underneath the candle. Remember, you want it to cross inside the candle. Even if the wick was touching it, that would be an A++ because I include the wick, but you want it to be within the candle. If it's below, it just minuses a plus. Does not mean the trade is bad or the setup is bad. It just takes away a plus because there's a chance if this level doesn't hold and it closes below the blue candle, right? There's a failed bullish move. You're going to have a potential continuation down. You saw that wick pull down, it pulled right back up, and then it did hold. That level did hold. And then you saw that move. But again, right, you want to be cautious with these. Just like with this right here, this 1 minute, same idea. Crosses above it, be careful. Doesn't mean the play is bad, not necessarily, but you're playing against a 5 minute level as well. So be cautious because, right, no guarantee you're going to hit a 5 minute level. 5 minute levels are strong. But this isn't an A++. You want the cross to be within the candle. You want it to be within, right? Within the candle. Here's an example of, what can happen when it's above, right? It's above, you saw the candle break and the level break, and then you had your break and retest for that push down. All right. Same kind of example here, right? This one cross occurred in front, and here you just had a bunch of chop, 7 o'clock. Cross in front. This one technically would be an A++ right here. Cross behind, technically A++, but you have barriers above. Yeah, you have 207 and 207.75 to get through. You're within 3 points, right? This is a 205. So you're within 3 points of those two, no go. This one's an A++ as well, but again, very risky because you're trapped within this blue. The next one gave you another blue push, then you had your break and your push down. Just super choppy. This one is an A++. Nope, it's not. Cross occurred below it. Makes it risky. Just because it's below it doesn't make it invalid. Just adds risk to it. All right, there's an A++. But again, right, remember, the signals are not good by themselves. You want confluences. This is how we avoid potential, right? There's a failed bullish bearish move. Do not look at the signals by themselves. You want confluences, right? Technically A++, technically A++, but without good, strong confluences, they're not going to be good moves. Blue, A++ against the blue here. You need to break this blue to potentially challenge here. All right, this one is, let me zoom in. It's on the bottom half of the wick. I wouldn't call this one a true A++, but what are the confluences you had? You broke that purple, all right? If we had a level down here or something, maybe add a confluence to that, but you broke this purple candle. There was your play, your retest, right? You draw your line here. There's your tip. It broke it by the tip, retest. You had another little retest here for that push up. You want confluences. You don't want to just take them blindly. Impulse candles tend to be a no-go. Here's another setup right here that you see the A++ breaking a purple candle as well, right? But then you came up here and also broke that purple candle. There's your whole retest and then your continuation push. You also had to break this one right here. All right, so you want confluences. You don't want to just blindly take them. Fibs, orbs, sauce boxes, they're all major confluences for me. Okay. The 420 quantum webinar, that's the one I'm on. The 420 quantum webinar, that's the one. All right. Yeah, so you would have it on the 1 minute. The 1 minute didn't give it to you, right? The 1 minute occurred over here, but it failed. Pulled down. Then the 2 minute gave you a new level, but this was not an A++. It's below it. The World Trade Summit, the higher time frame spur, the 420, Javi's fave. Yeah. All right. Ooh, I'm behind. Questions. By time-wise, are you saying how long the move would take? Yes. I've watched. Okay, Scat's answering quantum. Is there this is something I'm realizing, Javi. I'm a DJ and I need to own it. I need to go back to the way I was trading in June, even though it was crazy. It's me. Yeah, and Dan, I have a schedule, right? You're a student, bro, and you know my schedule, right? So you know the schedule I stick to, and I stick to it. When I'm playing my serious accounts, I only trade those serious accounts around my schedule, around those orbs, around the certain times that I look for certain moves, around Saucebox. That's it, right? Around the gravity zones. When I have confluences with quantum, I know I'm not gonna just, if I see gravity zone or approach, I'm not just gonna hit short, right? I have to have other confluences there. The Dom reactions, all that. And you're a student, so you know what I'm talking about. I learned by doing as well, but I'm really not a slow learner. Trading is the only thing I've struggled with for this long. Easy. Trading is you're gonna discover things about you did not know. Okay. I used to think I was patient. I used to think I had the patience of a saint because I worked in the restaurant industry for over 20 years, dealt with the craziest people, had things thrown at me and been called names, all sorts of craziness, right? Trading, I came in and I learned I had zero patience, that I lost and I turned into a demon. I wanted to break everything and throw everything out the window when I took it out. I was like, whoa, who is this guy? You're going to learn about yourself in this, man. There's a lot of things that you're going to realize that you struggle with that you didn't before. That was me. I was just like, whoa. There you go, ads. I like that. Quantum plus risk management plus probabilities. I don't know how to score do good at that. Can you link you should be able to tag him in the quantum chat, Easy. Can you link the Bullshare Summit that you mentioned? Should be able to. I think somebody hopefully will. Okay, after the show, I don't care. Tomorrow I'll be around 7:30. Easy, okay. It's going along sometime 2 minutes. I can't trade this stuff though. I'll see you tomorrow. Leaves Monica. God, freaking scat. Look at you, man. Of course, being a degen, a super degen. Oh man. Oh, he took that little BNR right down there. The recess candle would have got wicked out, right? Or am I looking at it wrong? Yeah, and he adjusted his stop loss because it was already a very low risk. So this is where you adjust it, right? If it's super duper low risk, you can absolutely adjust it. Where was it, Scat? Did you use the level? Oh, you were playing Gravity. Looks like. Turn it back on. Where was it? I don't know where you took it, but I can see it. But yeah, it looks like he adjusted his stop. He had the breaking candle, the retest, and he adjusted it. Right? If the risk is tight, because you do get wicked out during low ranges, low chop, it does help. I used to back in the day use swing points, but if the swing point was too deep, that's why I stick to the candle, the breaking candle. I take heavy partials, and then when I see a runner, I regret stopping out early, trailing stop. I don't know why, but I feel an urge to take heavy partials early on. There's nothing wrong with that, Eva Air. Like, again, right, when I size up with 6 micros, I take 4 off, and then I leave 2 runners. But again, I'm content with what I do. Like, I don't need a lot to make a lot. I've been making 250 to 350 days and been easily pulling out, 10 to 20 racks a month with 4 to 5 50K accounts. And I have well over 20 funded accounts, right? So just do the math. If I just do that with half of them, and I don't trade all of them every day. Like, that's the other part. I don't trade all of them every day. So it's like, it's funny, like how quickly things add up, because a lot of people don't believe that you can make that much with 4 50Ks. I'm like, just think about it, right? How many 50K accounts can you technically take money out of every 5 days, right? Once you're past the 2K buffer, like on the flex accounts, right? If you hit 250 a day, you could take out half. You could take out 1,200, right? You could take out 1,200, like I used to do with my funded futures. The what they were called. They were called the I forgot, something plus. But they were like flex accounts. Every 5 days I was making 250. I was able to take out 1,200, and not 2 of those. 1,200 times 2, right? There's 40. That's what, 2,800 or no, 2,400, right? If I do that, if I did it because I did it right, every 5 days I would make 250, take out 1,200 times 2, 2,400, and then the next 5 days I do the same thing, take out another 2,400, that's 4,800 with 250Ks. And then I had the 2 straight to funded Tradeify accounts. Had them already past the buffer, made 250 every 10 days because that's what I was able to take out. Every 10 days, I took out 2K times 2. That's 4,000. Every 10 days, I was taking out 8,400. Every 10 days, just hitting 250 past the buffer. And then the next 10 days, I did it all over again and I took out 16,000. Right? Not that hard. It's not that hard. I say that, man. I can't say it's not that hard. It's just that we are gamblers by heart, right? But when we have something we're confident in, it doesn't feel that hard. Okay, for me, it took a lot of struggle and pain to get there. So I can't say it's not that hard because it was. It was very hard. It was very difficult to get to that state of mind that I'm in now, where I can just take a trade, be okay taking the L, and moving on. That's the hard part. But it is very, very easy to fall into a routine and to just let the trades come to you, right? Let them come to you. And if you lose, you lose. Move on. That's the hard part. The hard part is accepting the L's. Started with minis and was blowing accounts 1-2 days and switched to micros. And then I blow accounts in 1 to 2 weeks. So I took just to 1 to 2 micros, blown in months. My pass rate is 2%. That's pretty low, easy. So we got to figure out where your sweet spot is. Javi, you were the main ticket to having me avoid blowing accounts. I have been recently trading only 3 to 6 micros. Let's go, Alex. My mic is up here. Not a quantum question, but a stop loss. Are you typically running at New York Open? No. When I'm taking New York Open trades, it's either my fun accounts, right? I have 2 pros that I do have fun with, or evals. Like I'm just passing eval. I like to have backups. I always have backups. I have my fun account, so I'm not going to stay fully funded with every single prop because I have fun accounts. Right? I will blow an account here and there. I've shown you guys, right? It's very rare when I YOLO them, but I always get one out of my system. My wife hates it. She hates that. She was like, why do you do that? And I'm like, you don't understand unless you've been doing this for a while. You always have to get one out and just be like, yep, that's what happens when you don't follow your rules. Like whenever I break my rules, I'm like, there you go. Just reteaching myself. Remember, don't be stupid. That's kind of what I do. Okay. Do you watch Max YouTube Shorts when the Asian girl had nothing but red days? Relatable. I didn't see that one. With quantum, if you see a cross on the higher time frames, but not the lower time frames, what is your read? The higher time frames are strong, right? When I see a 5-minute level, I'm never going to play against a 5-minute level, right? Because I know that's a strong level to go against, right? Like right now, we're actually about to break this 5-minute level here. I want to see if it actually happens, but we're in a strong ass uptrend, right? Again, if the 5-minute looks funky, right? I'll go take a peek at a higher time frame. Like the 15 minutes, the max I'll go up. Yeah, the root test up here. The 5-minute is in an uptrend, but usually, right? I rarely do, but I'll look at the 15-minute every once in a while just to see the trend. But I can tell that we've been in a pretty steady uptrend for a while. This was a pretty strong pause. 5-minute impulse got tested. The whole thing got eaten up. Right? And again, right, this is where the higher time frames are risky. Because guess what? You did have a 5-minute break and retest. If you look at your 5-minute alone, right, this is where the 5-minute gets risky. Because guess what? The whole freaking breaking candle, right? This is your breaking candle. This is your retest area. Right? And look how much you got pulled down into the break. That's a huge breaking candle. So that whole thing getting retested all the way towards that level creation, right? If you got in at 219, you would have eaten up 15 points of drawdown. I'm not a fan of that, right? If that's deep. So let's say I took this on an eval, because this is probably I would only take something like this on eval, right? I would begin a light entry up here, right? Let's say 1 or 2 micros, and then leave room to add a couple into the stop loss. So if I added 2, let's say I added 1 around here, 1 around here, my entry will get adjusted, right? Now my risk is slightly lower, and now I'm still going to look for 1-to-1 to get the 14 potentially. But that's how I do my strategic DCAing. But it's very selective. On the higher time frame levels, there's a higher chance of pullbacks. So there's a higher chance that you're going to be able to do that. But I will never, ever, ever move my stop loss. I will take the L with grace. If I got in with 2 here and I added a couple and I took that L, I took the L. Too bad. It's like, hey, it didn't play out. Okay. I wait for the next one. Hello, Javi. Just buy your gravity indicator. Any tips or recommendations? With gravity? Right, so gravity, right? We just held this box over here. One thing I actually mentioned early on in today's session is I have a rule for me. Not everyone has to follow this, right? First, you want to play the gravity zones or the orange boxes. Those you can play like orb. Okay, you can play them like orb. Depends how big they are, right? You had a break inside to mid failed to continue. I will not personally play against gravity zones. Like I will not short up here. I just won't. That's just my general rule. Do you have to follow that rule? No, you don't, right? You could play them like orb and play to mid. I won't short anywhere in here until I see a full break. Then you can use, obviously, you can use the repel zones. The repel zones are added areas for price to be spit out of. You do have Boxception. If you want to go rewatch the other class that we uploaded, I have a lot more of as well of gravity in here. Right, you have Boxception, and usually you can play a break out of both. And you had another break over here, right? We just came back to retest the repel zone, and depending on the direction, right? Repel zones can become area of support, so on and so on. Just like this one here, this one became a repel zone, spit out, came back, retest, got spit out again. Then we finally spit out of the gravity zone, spit out there, made a new one, spit out there, came back to retest it, spit out again. Right, price repels out of these zones, and then we hit these levels up here. Couldn't break it. Right, we couldn't break the level just yet. It tried. Saw that wick up. It's trying. Still just paused up here. Maybe the next 5-minute candle though. I don't know. But gravity zones are, again, right, they're anchored, the yellow ones. If you want to see older ones, like I marked this one up here. Okay, because I do have specific dates that I share with students because my deletion criteria is different from what the indicator can do. So if you go to your 5-minute chart and you turn them on, you're going to get older boxes, right? You're going to have more cluster because it's older information. I like to have the 1-minute kind of recent data, but if I have empty space, then I will look for, or like, okay, do I have a box up here around the 5-minute? So you can use your little crosshair. If you don't know about the crosshair, you go up here to the top left, right? You could choose an arrow if you want, right? I like to use the crosshair because it bleeds through to the other charts. And then I could just draw the box. I could just pretty much outline it, right? Grab my little rectangle. Grab the rectangle, right? And then I'll just measure it. I'll look at my crosshair on the 5, right? And there it is, right? I'll grab it here and then I'll drag it down. And then boom, right? There's my gravity zone here. And I could grab this one up here and do the same thing, right? I could add the one that's above there, right up here. And I could draw it on my 1-minute chart, boom. And if I want to go even deeper, right, then I can go to my 15-minute and I can see if my 15-minute has anything else above. All right, we got 2 up here. And then you could draw those out as well if you want to have them on your chart. Right? I don't like that little tiny one right there. You don't have to have it. It's up to you. And then now you have other zones to look out for. And boom, get rid of it there because I'm only going to look for plays on the 1-minute, right? If I'm going to treat it like orb, I want to see the 1-minute make the plays. I don't like to play higher time frames on these. I stick to the 1-minute with gravity. And that helps a lot. Right, now you have these other zones here to look out for. So if we test 30,301, if it manages to break inside, then you have a play to 328, 328 to 357. But I don't use these areas as TPs, right? Because it's potential, right? There's a potential chance as we get up here, this might be a very strong resistance point. So there's no guarantee it'll hit it. Sometimes it does. But that's why I don't play against gravity. Like if it hits 3,000, right? Personally, me, I won't take a long there. I just won't. I'll let it play out. I'll wait for a rejection potential. If it gives it, if I see the reaction, if I see Quantum kind of signaling it for a potential scalp, but there's a high chance, right? If I play along around here, there's a high chance we're going to get a rejection. And that's just the way I play it. So hopefully that helps you, MIP, right? These are areas, again, when you line them up with something like P2P, right? Adds very strong areas. Depends on where the fibs are right now, but it'll add strong areas, right? Oh, look at that, 786 is like almost lined up with the Salzburg Center. So it's like, hey, this is going to be an area for me to eyeball. If we hit 30,330, I'm going to be like, I'm going to I'm gonna see if we get any spicy movement in here, right? You can see how this happens a lot. Like look at this 786 down here, right? Right on top of that gravity, right? Coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. Trust me. I see this happen a lot. Another massive wick up here. Any tips on using Quantip on New York Open? On New York Open, either if there's good movement, sometimes you can play the signals alone, but still gauge risk, right? On the 1 minute or the 2 minute, the 5 minute tends to be super like strong. But usually I'll try to play a quick 1 minute or 2 minute play, even if the cross is occurring in front, because those moves tend to be violent, but I will keep the stop losses tight on those. I like it when there's a nice quantum range for New York. Then I just watch for an open or close above or below that range with the quantum candles, and I'll play it that way. And my stop loss will be a break of the breaking candle or above or below the range. New York is very risky though, because there tends to be a lot of wild movement, right? You tend to get a slight wick up or down in the beginning. So it's easy to get stopped out, which is why the majority of the time, if I'm trading New York Open, it's an eval or a fun account. I do have a couple videos on New York Open out there if you want to watch them. And I will be planning on making more as well. Because usually I'm watching the show, or, obviously Max sometimes calls us up out of nowhere. We got to be ready. So it's hard to like fully be recording for those, but I do plan on doing more videos on those. Does anyone know where I could find the Wealth Chart Summit video? It should be on my YouTube, Cal Colmembro. It should be on my YouTube channel. You should look for the 420 Wealth Chart Summit or something like that. I forgot what it's called. How do you make your cross all three time frames? It should show up on all three. If you I've never messed. If I have the arrow, right, it only shows where the arrow is. So you got to go up here on the top left of Trading View, and you got to select the cross, and it should show up on every single one. I've never really messed with it where it doesn't. I don't know if you have to do anything else to it, but I've never had to. I just switch it, right? If I switch it to the dot, it does the same thing. If I switch it to the magic wand, it does the same thing. So I've never had to do anything other than with the arrow, right? The arrow won't show it for me. Let's see, eraser, long press. So I don't see where you would need to make an adjustment for that, honestly. There might be. I'm just not sure. What session is your favorite session and which is the most profitable? I love Asia when it's got volume. It's super easy when it has volume. But definitely New York. New York right after orb is done. When orb is formed, I can catch some nice reads. You usually can kind of already gauge a trend by then as well. And these levels are holding up here. It looks like this level play today. Majority is low play. This is an A++ on the 2 right here. Right, this is an A++ on the 2. Cross occurred behind the candle, within the body, right? Even the wick, right? This is an A++ on the 2. Rejecting these levels above. Let's see. If you got in on the retest or the closure, what was the risk on this thing? 10 points. And you're just about to get your 10 points, unless you got another pullback. Yeah, you got your 10 points right now. There you go, right? This is an A++, using these levels as extra guidance. There's your A++ on the 2. Right? If you got in that candle closure, you still got your 1-to-1. If you got in on that pullback, you still got a pretty nice play right there. And another repel zone. 5 minute. All right, so the 5 minute broke right into those levels. Now we got a new purple candle right below those levels. All right, any tips on using? I think only 5 to 7 in drawdown now. Only 575 in drawdown now. Easy. I would take the night off, like I told you, right? I'm not trading tonight. Like that's looking good. There are a couple decent setups that during Asia that look good, but I haven't taken any trades yet, other than that opening trade. So you gotta slow it down, brother. Like slow it down. Learn a process. Learn something that you're comfortable taking, right? if today's your first day with us, go into the quantum chat, look at the pinned messages. I have a ton of examples on setups with entry and stop loss points. A ton of them. Oh, you took that 2 minute A++? Oh, okay, you got one. Okay, I didn't read that part easy. Okay, I didn't see that. So you caught this 2 minute A++. Okay, and this was a nice one, right? The confluences were that level rejection. You had the stack level above. So you had your cross down occurring. You had the A++ form. That was a decent one. That was the most decent one I've seen all night. Now you got your 5 minute forming, right? Your 5 minute needs to break under 201. And if it can close under 201, then you have a shot to get back to 188. But until that 5 minute can close under 201, you could get trapped. We're about to have another 5 minute level form over here at 215, right? Where that 5 minutes about to cross right here. That's going to be a potential level that's going to create it. And then you're going to get sandwiched between 3 levels. When I get sandwiched with levels like this, too many levels, right? This is where I'm even more like, yeah, you know what? Tonight was a good night not to take trades for me. Just seeing it move here and there, right? A couple good setups, but you waited all night for just like 1 or 2 setups. Right? This one was decent, right? With the confluences of Sawsbox and everything. This one was decent. This one was decent. Other than that, right? This one was actually good. This was also Sawsbox, right? Yeah, this one was Sawsbox as well. So this 2 minute was good. Yeah, the 2 minute looks bad. I mean, you can look at the 2 minute. You can see the 2 minute looks really good. I've already said the 2 minute on Asia tends to be the time frame to go for, especially when it's Chop Fest. It was Chop Fest tonight. Well, now we're getting that bleed through on the 5. If we can hold under there, you'll keep going. All right, y'all. Wow, we've been here for 2 hours. Nice. I hope I answered your questions, guys. Right, tonight, very choppy night. Got to see some decent chop. Got to see some actually decent, okay-ish plays on the 2 minute. Now I'm looking at the 2 minute. The 2 minute looks pretty clean. Right, the 2 minute looks pretty clean. During Asia choppy sessions, definitely higher time frames play out best. 1 minute gets super choppy. The 1 minute did look super choppy. We're seeing a lot of level respect, but be patient, y'all. Like again, literally took 0 trades after 6:30. I only took that long at the open, and that was it on 2 counts. That's all I traded tonight. You gotta learn to show some restraint every once in a while, right? We don't have to click the buttons every single session. If the movement does not look good, if you took a couple L's, right, that's a good signal to, you know what, price action isn't doing it for me today. I'm not going to blow this account on the shitty price action. Let me enjoy my night. Let me go watch a show, right? I don't need to force trade. You don't need to force losing money, okay? If the price action is not looking good and you're struggling, just pause the evening, take a break, and wait for another session, okay? Let me see. My nose, I feel like I'm getting sick slowly right now. I think I've synced all 3 time frames when it will show on all 3. Okay, you have to sync them, Carol. I've never had to do any of that, so I don't know if I accidentally done it or what, but if you sync them, I guess you got to sync them according to Carol. Not a lot of people have taught me a lot about TradingView. I'm even a TradingView genius. Yeah, I waited for my setup earlier around 7, but other than that, I'm good. Not giving any more profit back. Live to trade another day. There you go. So easy. Like if you're new, bro, again, right? Go through Quantum Chat. Go through those pinned messages. I hope, you learned a little bit of something. We do this every single Sunday night, right? Let's say you go through a couple of tests and you see some stuff this week. Do not hesitate to ask in the Quantum Chat, and this goes for everybody, right? Myself, Scat, Sam, we're all pretty active in there. I've been busy the last couple of weeks with the daughters going back to their school, all the kids going back to school. So we've been like going to the schools, doing a bunch of stuff. So I haven't been able to like spread myself and be as active this last week or so. But as things start to settle back down, right, I'll be able to get back to my rhythm. So I'll be able to get back in there. And I always read. I always go through it and I try to catch up and read everything. And if I see that Scat gave a good answer, right, I won't reply. But I still try to give my little 2 cents and make sure that, everyone's doing well. We're going to have another hopefully decent week. Hopefully Power Hour isn't super chop, but we never know. I don't like to bother no one. No, easy. Ask, please. Like, I'm begging you, bro. Like, ask questions. You're not a bother. Nobody is bothering by asking questions. Okay? Like, we're here to help. I want everyone to learn. I want everyone to find some form of success. right? I love teaching, right? That's why I've literally been here for 2 hours, right? Answering as many questions as possible because I want to make sure nobody feels left behind, that there's some form of understanding. Is it easy? No, right? This is a strategy. It's a whole strategy, right? Quantum by itself. That's what I've traded for the longest time. That's been my main strat. Saucebox came in last. I do have confluences that I use, right? I go over a ton of that in the course. I go through a lot of detailed entry points. We do 2 morning sessions. I do a Friday recap and psychology class, and I'm planning on just continuously doing those. I go over quantum setups. I go over Saucebox setups. I go over everything else that we've taught as well. The MVG course that Max included in their class. Llama had his session in there, as did Logan. There's just a variety of things that I look at that I can have fun with, which is why I have fun with on the charts, right? But quantum is the main strat, and you guys can learn everything about quantum watching my YouTube videos and joining these sessions, right? There's no secrets about quantum that I have hid other than what creates the candles or the action line values, which I did hint. They are hinted in the course, right? They are hinted in there, but right, that's something that we can't fully break down, unfortunately. And plus, some of the math I can't even break down if I wanted to. that would be Owen's expertise there with the scripting and the algebra that he says he put in there. So, other than that, everybody, right? Enjoy your nights. Remember, there are going to be choppy nights like this. Be patient, right? 2-minute time frame on choppy nights tends to be the best. You guys can kind of see a little bit of that right there. But enjoy your evening after Friday recaps I recorded. Those are tough to make for me. Yes, they are recorded backs. I don't know if we uploaded the one from Friday. I know that the recording got messed up because every other call, Zoom freezes on me. And then when I close it out, I have to reopen it and then end the call. And that's worked for the recording. This last recording was like 23 hours because I guess it didn't stop recording, even though I turned off my computer and everything. But it should be up. It should be up. But yeah, they are recorded backs. All right, everybody, have a great night. Trade safe, please. Okay, we'll see you guys tomorrow for Power Hour. And I will see you guys again next week on Sunday if you're still here. And students, I'll see you guys Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday as usual. All right. So enjoy your night, everybody. Trade safe, sleep tight, and we'll do this all over again next week. All right. Love you guys. Peace out.